What's up, SVSers? We are back with another audiophile happy hour. Welcome to our community. I love seeing the comments from people coming in from all over the country and the world. As always, I have my two favorite colleagues here. Just below me, we have President of SVS, Gary Yakubi. And Gary, how are you?
I am just below you in spirit and in every way, right?
It's the only time I'll ever be able to say that, so I figured I'd
there's plenty of times you say it. Maybe just with me not in the room.
Well, wonderful to have you here as always, and of course, to my I guess my right here would be our national training manager, Larry Magoo. Larry, how are you?
I am great. I hope everybody out there is well, and the comments are great. Howdy, everybody!
I know so many great comments. It's awesome.
I'm feeling the energy tonight. We got a really fun show ahead. Of course, we have our giveaways, which we'll get to in a second. We have an awesome guest, Emiko, aka that HiFi girl, who's going to share some insights with all the various things she's doing for our industry. So excited to get to that conversation. We'll have Ed hopefully later on for some Q&A. And just to sort of set the table with the giveaways, if you've left a comment already, you're eligible. We choose names at random. We'll announce them throughout the show. We'll get your information, ship those out within a day or two, and you'll be the happy owner of some new SVS gear. So all those people who are saying hello or where you're from, you are eligible for the giveaway. So welcome, and thank you for joining us if you are a first-timer or if you're a long-timer. But with that in mind, let's set the table with what giveaways we have on tap today. And Larry, I hope you took good notes because I'm putting you on the spot. What are we giving away this evening?
I am pretty good at taking notes. So we've got 4 normal giveaways and 3 extra giveaways tonight. So we're going to kick things off with an SB1000 Pro subwoofer, a pair of Prime wireless powered bookshelf speakers, followed up by a pair of our Prime elevation speakers. And then the big prize of the evening is a 3000 micro subwoofer. And scattered in there, we also have 3 6-month subscriptions to Qobuz that we're going to be giving away for somebody too. So we've got a lot going on tonight, and somebody's going to be going home with a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, and props to our friends from Qobuz. It's a high-res music streaming service. If you haven't heard about it before, they're great friends of the brand. They actually gave us an award that we talked about the last time we had our broadcast. So really appreciate the partnership that we have going with Qobuz. But as we like to do every time, it's been a couple weeks, and I know I've been tuning into some new stuff. And Gary, I'm going to put you on the spot here first. And I know you're probably not drinking anything interesting, but why don't you tell us what you've been tuning into recently and share some content recommendations for the community?
Well, I mean, what's really been amazing is I've kind of gotten back into some degree of new normal. I've seen a bunch of live shows. I've seen I don't remember the last show what I had seen, but I've seen Tool, Billie Eilish, Casey Musgraves. I've seen a chamber orchestra, Orpheus Chamber Orchestra with Branford Marsalis. So I've seen a jazz show and a comedy show. So it's been, for me, anyone in the SVS community probably knows if they pay attention to these shows. I'm an addict of live music, and it's been super, super fun. As far as TV shows or streaming TV, I'm only going to tell you 2 disappointments. I told you guys last show that I started Cheer season 2. It's really kind of a bummer. It's not nearly as much fun as season 1, so I don't think I convinced anyone in our community to watch it anyway. But just in case I did, it wasn't that great.
Yeah.
Huh? Did you watch it, Larry?
I knew you weren't going back and watching the old '80s, sitcom
Cheers. Not Cheers.
Cheer, the show about cheerleading. And then the other one, and this may be controversial because everyone says it's going to win the Best Picture Oscar. We had date night and watched Power of the Dog. And I kind of thought it was lame. I don't know. I'm watching comments to see if anyone agrees with me. But the highlight was definitely the live shows. I just had so much fun seeing live music again. And I've got, I'm stoked. My pre-sale day, I'm a supporter of Wolf Trap, which is our outdoor venue in the Washington area, was yesterday, and have some tickets for a bunch of shows for the summer. And we're going with some partners like Crutchfield. So it's going to be such fun.
Good ones. Larry, what do you have for us tonight?
Man, well, you guys, I'm the sports junkie of the group. So of course the NFL playoffs and then the Super Bowl. And how much fun that was. And
the halftime show. What a
halftime,
great
if you're Gen
halftime
X,
show.
yeah,
Definitely
Gen
up
X,
there
we're
with the
all over
best.
that. Yeah, it was so much fun seeing that. I can't wait for official videos to come out because I don't think you really got to experience that massive stage with all the cutting and stuff they had to do to make it live. But that was a whole lot of fun. Binged the entire Reacher series on Amazon Prime one night. Went till 2 a.m. watching it. Enjoyed that one, and they've renewed that, so I'm looking forward to that too. Today, my son Ethan turned 13. And so we have 2 teenagers in the house, and I asked him what he wanted to eat, and he told me, he listed off 3 things. He said strawberry cake, Nutella, and Fruit Loops. And so I went to the store very early this morning and got all those, and I made a strawberry cake with Nutella frosting and Fruit Loops on it, and it was amazing.
I was just going to say, you didn't combine those 3, did you?
Oh, it was so good. I'm no longer
right, you need to make a reservation
at
the emergency room for your whole family, I think.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Like a sugar shock right there. Well, to each his own, and that could become the Larry special here. Maybe you'll have to post a recipe for that one.
Now somebody's going to make it and put it in a bakery. It's going to be huge.
Hey, I had a moment where I felt like a celebrity today, and I'm so mad at myself because I wrote down his name, but I was in Costco picking up a prescription and grabbing a couple other things, and somebody ran up to me and said, Gary, because we don't have to wear masks anymore in Maryland. So I wasn't wearing a mask, and came up to me and said, Mr. SVS, Gary. And it was kind of a funny moment there in my local Costco. And now I wrote his name down on my receipt, but I threw the receipt away. So I told him I'd watch for him in the comments, but I'll know as soon as I see it. But that was a fun moment.
Yeah, well, I know you get tons and tons of people asking you to autograph their subwoofers, so I'm sure that you're somewhat used to this.
No, it doesn't happen very often. When it does happen, it's still noteworthy. Oh, there it is, Tim.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
You got it. That's perfect.
Hey, Tim,
all right,
that was fun.
Well, I have some recommendations.
You made my afternoon.
I spent last night watching Summer of Soul. It's Questlove's documentary about the Harlem Cultural Festival back from 1969, and I just thought it was amazing as far as like a sort of spotlight of history. But even the music was really awesome. A lot of like gospel stuff that I had never heard before. But I really just found the whole way they cut it together and sort of painted a picture of what that weekend was like was just amazing. So I would highly recommend that if you like gospel music or you like good documentaries. I've also been listening to one of my favorite bands, Alt J. They released a new album called The Dream, and I've been listening to that on Qobuz. And it's not my favorite album there yet. I don't think I've listened to it enough times, but I am sort of gigging out. They're sort of compared to Radiohead, but I've been enjoying The Dream. And then I heard about this new thing that's coming out in the spring. A couple of years ago, there was something called Booze and Vinyl, which is basically a book of like 50 cocktail recipes that you would listen to an entire album with. So each album had a cocktail assigned to it. And, us doing the happy hour, I thought it would be perfect for us. So the original version is called Booze and Vinyl. There's another version coming out this spring. So I'm interested to see what they have. But that sounds like something that I would totally be into there because it forces you to sit down to an entire album and you have an actual drink to go along with it based on, the various melodies and whatever. Somebody asked that documentary. It was called Summer of Soul, and it was by Questlove from The Roots. So if you want to check that out, it's on Apple Plus, I think, or Apple TV. So check that out if you want to.
Nick, are there special songs to go with like a shot, like Blur song 2 that's really fast?
I think it's just cocktails. I think it's meant for you to listen to the entire album and sort of sip on a beverage while you do so. But I would imagine something more hard rock would be like an aggressive cocktail, whereas something more mellow, maybe it's a little fruitier. I don't know, but that's why I'm interested to check it out, and we'll post about it here once we actually get to that point.
Spoonman wants my shirts. God, every broadcast, he's asking for my shirts.
Good shirt.
We still do the giveaway of your shirts.
$6shirts.com. I'll give you that plug.
So, Gary, I'm going to put you on the spot again. I think on our last
I'm getting a lot of comments about Peacemaker, and it's on my list. I want to see that. I hear it's really good.
Peacemaker.
I think the finale is this week.
Mm-hmm.
I have not heard that one. All right, we'll have to put that on the spinner too. But Gary, you gave me some crap last time when I was talking about sort of the quote unquote resurgence of CDs and whether that's a real thing or not. And I thought it would be fun to ask our community to post if they can remember the last CD they bought. And I want to know, Gary, if you remember the last CD you bought.
Oh, I can absolutely tell you what it was.
Was it recently?
It was, I mean, relatively. It's the
Okay.
last CD I bought. It was Tool's Fear Inoculum. And you know, by the way, Tool does a really good job with that because it literally had a little. You open it up and it has a little HD movie that plays in the CD case. So you kind of feel
That's cool.
like you got a keepsake there.
Yeah.
But I've never actually listened to that CD. I stream it. And by the way, the whole album doesn't even fit on the CD. If you want to hear the whole album, you have to stream it. So there you go. That's my point.
Larry,
Physical media. We have to figure out a world post physical media. That's
I know,
I've been telling our team.
The nostalgia of finding out the last CDs that people bought just is very interesting to me. I'm not sure why, but Larry, I guess it sort of dates the person as far as when they stopped buying physical media. But Larry, do you remember yours?
Yeah, I've talked about a few of them. You know, I got the Metallica Blacklist last fall.
You talked about that.
But
that's a keepsake, right, Larry? It's kind of a little bit of a souvenir.
I've got them both right here. You know, it's a big 4 CD collection, and it opens up, and there's a booklet. And I like reading liner notes because I'm a nerd. I still buy physical 4K discs. You know, the Flicker Stick album that I got was a collection of all B-sides and stuff they didn't release, and updates to songs, and it's just awesome. Sit down and then you rip it to your computer and add it to your phone, and then you can stream it and all that stuff. So I still like that.
Not to come off as obsessed, but the last CD I bought was actually Alt J. It was their album before the one they released a week ago, Relaxer, and that was the last CD I bought.
When did you buy it, Nick?
Where?
When?
Oh, when? I guess that was about 2.5 years ago. That was when they did their last release. So about 2.5 years ago.
So you're clearly not this trend you've been observing about physical media yourself.
No, unfortunately
Larry
not.
and I have bought physical media more recently than you have.
That's why I'm watching the comments here to see if there's any Billie Eilish or Taylor Swift, or I don't even know anything sort of modern.
Here's like one, Adele.
Yeah.
Brand bought Adele's 30. Okay, that's a new one.
So there you go. So there are some people out there. We'll keep them coming. I am interested, and I think if there is a resurgence of physical media, it's it's happening in dribs and drabs with vinyl, with CDs. Blu-ray discs obviously I feel like are the one that actually is doing pretty well. But I
wouldn't have thought this. There's a bunch of Adele fans in the SVS community. I wouldn't have guessed that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, she has a Blu-ray out too. We actually tried to demo it at CES, but people wanted to hear other things more than Adele.
No one wanted to hear Adele. They were all walking out of the room.
We tried, but all good. All right. Well, we've got our segment that we like to do on a regular basis, and we've actually got.
Wait, do we have a giveaway first?
No, 6:15. I'm going to let you do your movie demo minute first, and then we're going to go from there to the first giveaway. So. Let's just load this right up here. Where's your movie demo? Oh, there we go.
Justin, I agree.
Took me a second there.
Too. I'm watching the comments. Sorry.
So, Larry, this is your time to shine. You're going to share one of your favorite of all time movie demos, or in this case, something a little different. What do you got for us?
Yeah,
I thought you were going to jazz up the logo a little bit, Nick. It's
it's
You
cool.
don't think
I
that's
don't mind.
jazz?
I'm very subtle. But I was in a local Magnolia store this week talking with some guys about some of my favorite demos, and they wanted to know about a concert disc. And I think any of you that have been to our events or watched our broadcast know that my favorite anything musical to play for a demo is going to be the Hans Zimmer Live in Prague Blu-ray disc. And being a cinephile, it is amazing because it's all the music from the musical scores that he'd done up until about 5 years ago, and kind of starts with Driving Miss Daisy from back in the 80s. He was doing musical scores then all the way up to stuff like Interstellar and some of Christopher Nolan's movies. But some of my favorite tracks on there that we love to demo because it really incorporates the live stage experience. There's over 100 people on the stage, so you get a little bit of all of that from all the speakers, and it's in Atmos. But the Chevalier de Sangreal is my favorite track on there from the Da Vinci Code. It's just unbelievable. Violins and horns and everything. Up is Down, which we play at our demos events from Pirates of the Caribbean. And then if you want to knock some lights down in your home, you put on the track Why So Serious from The Dark Knight. And I did a training with some Best Buy guys a few years back in Florida, and we literally shook a light fixture loose, and it was an amazing experience to see that happen. But it's my all-time favorite thing to listen to. My kids even hum it, some of the music to it, and they've never physically watched it. That's how much we play it in the house.
Solid. And I saw a comment earlier about, what's some great Dolby Atmos music. I would say that's probably among the best Dolby Atmos executions as far as music goes that you can find anywhere.
Yeah, if you're into
actually, we're getting some comments.
Dragons,
two different comments about we need to talk more about multi-channel music that doesn't have video, and that's a great comment. I agree.
Yeah,
with
look
that.
up if you're into. There's a lot of albums that have been re-released, like REM, the Losing My Religion album, NXS Kick. Both of them were remastered in digital audio multi-channel, which are fantastic. And there's some old SA CDs you can find that come with a CD with multi-channel music too.
All right, I got an action layer, Gary. Next broadcast.
Look at all these guys. Like every fourth or fifth comment is about Peacemaker. I'm moving that to the top of my list. I've been hearing a lot of buzz about it.
Peacemaker it is. And for our next broadcast, we're gonna bring some multi-channel music recommendations. We'll do some research and we'll pull some of our best selections. Maybe get Ed involved with that as well, and share some of our favorite tracks and albums for multi-channel. I think that'd be a cool little segment to do.
That.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're about quarter into the hour, and that means it's time for a giveaway. And our very first giveaway of the evening is our SB1000 Pro subwoofer. And the winner of that is Ben McGibbon. Ben McGibbon, congratulations, my friend. You have yourself a new subwoofer. Our colleague Vince will reach out, get your info. We'll get that subwoofer out to you. So before we bring on our guest, I did want to hit one quick question because it actually came up when Larry and I were doing a broadcast last night with one of our partners, Nebraska Furniture Mart, and then I saw it again come up today. So I feel like this is pretty germane. And Gary, I'm going to throw it to you. When you're calibrating a subwoofer, is there, in terms of the content, is there any tips you can give in terms of what kind of content you should be using and listening to, as far as like test tracks go or music, or what should you be using when you're actually calibrating your subwoofer to do those listening tests?
Great question. And Larry and I are students of this, and it is a never-ending kind of thing because I think, frankly, there's so much content that's pushing the envelope of what's possible with bass now, which is great. Most important thing is don't think about the content until you've adjusted the subwoofer without content. Use your Odyssey or your other room EQ that you use, and make the adjustments according to the instructions with your home theater receiver or 2-channel, or work with us without content. Then you want to use content that you're very familiar with. Larry and I have several things we use and several moments in those in that content that that we know what it should sound like when it's at its best. So this is a little bit what I would call iterative, meaning your first time you might have a tough time with this if you've never heard a subwoofer at its best. To me, Larry, should we talk about some of the things we use?
Yeah, I mean, some of for the more subtle side of things, we throw on one that we haven't done much, but Tron. The most recent, well, not recent, but it's like 12 years old now. But we put that one on, and there's a scene before the light cycle race where Clue is walking down the stairs, and when the sub's calibrated properly, you actually hear the footsteps.
That's a huge important one that we use, because the depth of it it's very basically, if your subwoofer is working correctly when he's walking down those steps, which is early in what's the scene called? The light cycle scene.
Yeah, it's like
early in that scene, you will not hear anything if your subwoofer is not calibrated and set up properly. It'll literally not be heard. But if it's set up properly, you hear this very low frequency sounds as he walks down the stairs. And also, I would also lay out what to listen for. You want to hear the deep bass, but also with something like Baby Driver, which we use, you also want to hear the quickness of the subwoofer. You don't want it to be muddy. You don't want to hear a lot of decay after the bass note. And in that first scene in Baby Driver, when they're shooting the guns in the bank, that should come and go instantly if the subwoofer is set up properly. If you're hearing a lot of decay and resonance, then you need to move your subwoofer probably most likely towards a boundary, towards the wall.
Yeah. I was almost going to do Baby Driver tonight, but then Hans Zimmer came up in conversation. So,
well, you'll have future opportunities there, Larry. And I think there's certainly other ways you can go about calibration with the microphones and using sort of a more advanced process. But I think it's probably too technical for us to dive into now. But maybe down the road, Ed Mullen can come on here and we'll walk through some of the more finer points of using microphones and measurements and throughout the room and really getting that dialed into the most extreme way possible. But
he's
for
coming
now,
on later in the show, right?
He's supposed to. Hopefully, he makes it for the lightning round.
Hopefully, it's not too happy of an hour for him while we're waiting for him.
Well, that's what I'm concerned about.
Are you worried about that?
Those bottles are opened early on, and we'll see though. We can always rely on Ed. I have no question about that. But it's time for our guest, and we're super excited to introduce to our community Emiko, aka That HiFi Girl. She's actually the Senior Vice President of Marketing and Business Development for the Home Entertainment Show, which is one of the longest running audio shows in the United States. She's also a contributor to Ecoustics, Enjoy the Music, and some other of the media that serve our fine industry. And she's also a musician. So Emiko, welcome to the SVS Audiophile Happy Hour.
Thank you for having me. Good to be here.
Well, it's our pleasure. And as is customary, I do have to ask, what are you drinking?
Oh, this is gonna, well, okay. I'm drinking wine. It's 3:21 here on the West Coast, and I'm drinking wine.
That doesn't stop some of our other guests from the West Coast, by the way. We just saying.
Yeah, there's no judgment here. It's a happy hour, and we're not here to pass any kind of judgment. But I do have to also ask if you've been listening to anything recently that's worth recommending for our community as well.
Oh boy. I don't even know where to start. I really should just put together like a playlist, because everybody asks me that, and I always, every time I go onto a stream, I go, okay, I have these things that I'm going to say, and then I get on the stream and I go, I don't remember now. My issue is, yes, I listen to a lot of stuff, but because I work in music and because I'm constantly like right now I'm scoring a comedy series and I'm scoring a feature film, I don't have a lot of time. See, I can't move because of my hands. I don't have a lot of time to listen to things for fun, even though I really want to.
Well, so I'm going to make it easy for you.
I'm going to tell you, watching the comments, Emiko, a lot of people know who you are, and they're really happy that you're here. I've seen multiple comments along those lines, so it's really cool.
Thank you.
And they're okay. They're okay with your day drinking too. So
yes,
they want you to have a drink.
But I'm going to make it easy for you. What's the last CD you bought? Because you might have to dig into the archives there. But you remember?
Actually, I do. Okay, I thought it was either Nelly Furtado or King's X, Gretchen Goes to Nebraska, but it wasn't. It was actually Jethro Tull's jtull.com.
Nice. Well, there you go. I have not heard of that.
Though? The look on my face kind of gives you a preview of my thoughts.
Like, maybe.
Well, all three of those are they show the diversity of music that you're into, which I think is just great. And you're part of the resurgence, even if it was a couple of years ago. But I am curious. I know you have a lot of sort of different roles that you're serving within the audio industry. What got you into this space, and what sort of was your initial foray into high performance audio that really sort of launched into this interest?
Well, what got me into hi-fi or what got me into the industry? Those are two sort of different stories.
I guess both. I mean, if they're connected, that's fine. But I would say hi-fi first of all, just the enjoyment of great music on a great system.
Okay, so funnily enough, I just put out a video about this on my channel. When I was about 2 years old, I was obsessed with three things: Superman, E.T., and Burl Ives. And I would listen to, I would tear off my whatever horrible dress my mother would put me in, and I would just jump around in my diaper listening to Burl Ives' The Little White Duck. And my parents had this little, suitcase record player, right? This little denim blue thing. And I was always attracted to vinyl since then. And then it's not that I took a break, but my life took this turn where because I was playing professionally and I was touring and I was recording, I was constantly chained to a console, or I was locked in a live room. And so every time I would go home from recording sessions, I would just want silence. And what ended up happening to me was my love of listening to music started to go away, because there was such intense pressure from the record company or the publisher or my managers or whomever at the time, the producers, to just focus on what we're doing, And at the end of it, there's such tremendous listening fatigue that you don't want to listen to anything when you go home, frankly. And it wasn't until I realized that I could get a pair of small tannoys from my studio apartment in New York, where I was living at the moment, that I sort of started to tickle the idea of maybe I can listen if it's not stuck to my head, right? If I'm not locked in a room, if I just listen when I want to listen, maybe I can listen. So I grabbed a pair of tannoys, and then my photographer came over one day, and he had this pair of, I don't know what they were, but they were super vintage English floor standing speakers, and he brought them over. And so I ended up having 2 mini systems, one sort of Frankenstein hybrid pro audio hi-fi thing, and then one dedicated hi-fi system. And hi-fi actually saved me from music listening burnout and brought the love of listening to music back into my life. So since then, I've been very much an audiophile and hi-fi enthusiast, or whatever you want to call it. So that's what got me into it.
Yeah, it's such a unique journey to go there from sort of like a burnout, sort of listening fatigue place, to understanding that, having a great system can really help overcome that. So I think that's a unique aspect. And I mean, you've really become sort of an ambassador for our industry. So I'm curious, we have a lot of people here who are obviously very much into home theater and hi-fi and high performance audio, but I think there's maybe some tips you could share about how you can engage people who maybe aren't as into it as we are. As somebody who is serving as an ambassador for both a major audio show, but also brands and media outlets.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that so everybody who knows me personally knows this about me. I love to be on the audiophile post boards, like on Facebook, those groups, late at night. I mean, 2, 3 in the morning, I'm up reading comments and just taking the temperature of the industry and taking the temperature of the room. And one of the biggest things that I could say is there's this weird double-edged, not a sword, but there's 2 sides of the same coin, right? On one hand, people go, well, hi-fi is such a small insular industry and it's dying and we have to get more people in it. And then at the same time, they'll say, oh, your system sucks and you don't know what you're doing. And it's like, and you wonder why people don't want to be part of it. And so I think a way to get more people into it is to spread the joy. The first thing is to spread the joy, and not so much spread the tech, but spread the joy, spread the love of music, spread the experience of what it is to sit down with your system or loan your headphones to a friend or whatever you're going to do and share with them, because that's a very communal and connective thing. And then the next thing from there is ask questions. Ask them what they like or what they don't like or what they prefer or what they're looking for. I think a lot of us in audiophilia tend to want to be so helpful that we espouse our knowledge onto others without asking first. And our whole hobby and our whole industry is based on listening. So with that comes the ability to, and the responsibility to listen to people as well. So those are
what
2 things
comment.
that I would.
That's a great comment. I agree with you.
I was just going to say how ironic, that this whole passion and hobby is about listening. And yet there's so many times when, a large percentage of people, all they want to do is tell you what the right answer is. They never want to listen to what you're into or sort of judge based on, what your individual tastes might be. It's always, no, this is the only way. But that is such a great comment. You're right.
Well, no, I mean, what a comment. Our hobby is listening, but so few people listen. And the other comment is, which is very true, is, how are we going to get more people excited about great sound while at the same time never being inclusive to, ways of enjoying great sound? And that is super, super up our alley, Emiko, is how we think at SVS as well. We want to we don't judge. what kind of content people are interested in. We don't judge how they want to listen to it or how much they want to spend. We just want to bring more people to the fun and joy of bringing their content to life with great sound.
That's so awesome. I love that.
So I want to do a quick giveaway, but stick around, Emiko here. But we try to stay on the 15 minutes here. And our next giveaway is going to be a pair of Prime Wireless powered speakers. And the winner of that is Jason Astry. Jason Astry, congratulations.
Congrats.
Prime
Hey,
Wireless
Jason.
coming your way. Congrats. All right. So I know you have a role with the Home Entertainment Show, which was one of the longest running audio shows in the U.S. As Senior Vice President of Marketing and Business Development. So I'm curious from your perspective why you think audio shows are important for our industry, and then maybe share some news, if there is any, about where the Home Entertainment Show is headed.
Sure.
Two-part question.
Yeah. So yes, it's true. I am Senior VP of Marketing and Biz Dev at the show, THE. Audio shows, I think, are so important for a couple of reasons. One is that they help the community. They help the dealers, they help the manufacturers, they help the distributors, they help the attendees. They help everybody, not only economically, but logistically, because it's an opportunity to commune. It's an opportunity to be in the rooms with people that you might otherwise have trouble getting a hold of. To ask them questions about anything from room treatment to setup to, hey, why is my system acting funky, or my cartridge is doing something weird, or whatever it is that you need to ask, you've got that FaceTime. You're not talking to a customer service rep on the phone, which is fine too, but you've got them there, right? So you have an opportunity to have a human connection with people. And it's an opportunity, I think, to converge and amplify, no pun or pun intended, the love of what we're all here for, which is music and, to some degree, technology and design and development and the sense of community. And so I think that that's one reason why audio shows are so important. Another reason is because it's a chance to bring hi-fi and audio into the forefront of conversations in spaces where they wouldn't normally be. Local businesses benefit from things like that. Commerce, small business associations, chambers of commerce get involved locally. And so all of a sudden you've got those folks. Like when we we were the first show in North America to reopen, and we opened 3 days before Governor Newsom opened the state of California from COVID. And we were working with the health department almost on a weekly basis. And those folks went from not being audiophiles to being audiophiles in the time that we had with them. And it really was an opportunity for us to forward the conversation and sort of, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, get a couple more people into the club, as it were. So there's the chance to, I think, really expand the conversation is something that people don't see as much in audio shows as really does exist in real life.
That's great. And before you get to maybe some,
can I just put one? I'm a master of the obvious, Emiko, and one point that I've been making. We exhibited at CES, and I think it'd be fun to be a part of THE show. So we should probably talk about that, hopefully. But these are products that, to really be appreciated, humans need to be in a physical space with them.
Right.
At a certain point, talking about it, reading user reviews and forums and stuff like that, I definitely think that helps, and it helps to shape one's expectations. But how about just having an amazing demo and seeing the fulfillment of the promise of these awesome technologies in real time?
Absolutely, Gary. And I think, anybody that says, oh, well, you can just, get onto a magazine or a wonderful, reputable live stream and learn about it and just buy it. And it's like, if you're going to buy a pair of $25,000, $35,000, $45,000 speakers or an amp or whatever it is you're getting, I don't know. Don't you want to touch it and hear it and kind of see the back of it and how heavy is it? And don't you want to express, all of your questions? And so you're absolutely right that is something that a lot of people seem to, especially when COVID, with COVID, like audio shows were at a standstill for a couple of years. And so we did all of us turn to the online world of, I think, counting on reviewers or experts or people to sort of tell us what we think we want to hear. But the other thing is, listening is subjective, right? So what you hear in a perfectly tuned system that you think might be great, I might go, I feel like that mid-range is a little off and I'd like to tweak that. And it doesn't make either of us wrong. It's that we hear and we receive it differently. And so being in an audio show gives you the opportunity to really experience and hear something the way that it's being presented and how to optimize it best. Absolutely.
And I think that's
Love
what
it.
makes the
Great.
trade shows where consumers and just fans can get involved in these shows too. Because when you go to just the industry shows, you're just talking with other guys and gals that are in the industry. You're not talking with fans or somebody that's just into it. And I think that's what's really cool about the shows that you're involved with.
Thank you.
I'll also add on, it's the only opportunity Larry and I get to do demos. I mean, we do them sometime at the dealer events that we do, but, going to Axpona and going to, what used to be Rocky Mountain, like that's our opportunity to really stand in front of people and, hype up our products and see the look on their face. And, to me, that's one of the most fun parts of my job. So I would never want to.
Also, and I meant to say this too, because I found one of the most valuable things about participating in these events, these shows, but also our events, is I, as a leader of the company, get to hear from our community of customers, but also not customers, just people, anyone who has feedback for me about what SVS is doing. I get to hear it from them directly, and Nick and Larry can tell you, Emiko, and I'm sure you hear this all the time, we get tons and tons of feedback. So we're super eager to get back to these live events, right?
No
Very
doubt.
much so. I see everybody's asking, when are we coming to these cities? When are we going to those cities?
Yeah, I'm seeing it right here. There's nothing.
We got plans.
Nothing.
I
in
want
my town.
I want to address. There's a couple people that asked about Rocky Mountain, and I think Nick. I think the next thing that was that the next question you were going to ask?
Can we call this breaking news? Can we call it breaking news? Please let me just do it. We've never really had breaking news.
Go ahead. Yes.
Emiko's going to break some news that nobody has heard outside of this live stream. So here we go. That's okay.
Okay,
most of our attendees haven't heard it. Yeah.
Okay. So the show, which is based in Long Beach, California, THE, right? We have expanded. We do have a show coming to Denver in the autumn of this year of 2022. So the wait is over. You do not have to wait any longer for that. And we are expanding to New Orleans as well. That'll be probably earlier part of 23, because we're already toward the back half of February now, and planning 3 shows in a year is going to do my head in, I think. But I can say that Mr. Winger 1951 has a question. All right, cool. I can say that Long Beach is happening in June, second weekend of June, like always. And then Denver is happening. We will be announcing dates shortly, but we already have a wait list of exhibitors, and I'm really thrilled about that.
But these aren't carbon copies. These shows aren't the same. The one we do on the West Coast, the West Coast is truly a high-end audio show. It's your typical 2-channel. Maybe there's some multi-channel there, but it's very much what it's always been. Denver is what I'm really excited about, just because of how you sort of painted a picture of it. And what is that going to be all about?
Sure. So, Long Beach is considered what I'm telling our team to call our classique show, right? If you want to do 2-channel, you want to do high-end audio, ultra high-end, vintage, even antique like gramophone stuff, that's the place for it. Denver is all about integrated hi-fi experience. So you're talking about home theater, personal audio, travel audio, you're talking about digital stuff, gaming. You're also talking about wiring, like outside audio, pool, yard, garden, like all sorts of stuff that is part of everyday life, right? So really integrating music, experience, theater, outdoor stuff, even things like furniture, theater, like home theater furniture. And even we did have a couple of requests, believe it or not, for kitchen audio, which I thought was very cool, because I think a lot of families congregate there, and where a lot of people might sort of laugh that off, we went, No, that makes a lot of sense. If your kids are doing homework and you're in the kitchen cooking and mom and dad, or mom and mom, or dad and dad, or both parents are there, or whatever, and you're having a chance to enjoy music or enjoy sports or whatever it is, why wouldn't you do it in the best way possible, the highest quality way possible, right? So it makes
we
total
have
sense
speakers
to
in
us.
our kitchen, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I totally get that.
Well, that sounds like the most inclusive of audio shows that I've ever heard about, and it immediately got me excited because there's a lot of sort of shared philosophy there with SVS in terms of we don't want to be looked at as movie speakers or hi-fi music speakers or any one specific genre. It can be everything, and I think a show that embraces that is a real value add for our industry.
Sure,
Did we, we kind of said we were hoping to exhibit at that one, right, Nick?
Absolutely. I think the Denver show, once there's solid dates and that waiting list is released, we're going to be one of the first people to sign up. I can guarantee that.
Well, we're very excited, and we're lovely. We're very excited to have you, and that's a lovely sentiment. Am I allowed to? I don't want to call you out by name, but am I allowed to respond to a comment?
Sure, 100%.
All audio is wife approved audio. Let's move on, shall we?
We've actually said as a team, we've said as a team, we never use that terminology. It's yeah. I mean, I won't go any further other than I'm a little more devastating in my criticism of that comment in our internal conversations, but we don't go there.
I'm the guest, so I'm not going to say other words.
No, you should say what's on your mind. You should say.
I'm just going to say that for the folks that are watching this who did ask about my system, this is my system. This is not a fiance's system. This is not a family system. This system belongs to me. I worked for this, and it's mine. So when you say wife-approved audio, just understand that more of me are popping up. And it's not going to be wife-approved audio anymore. It's going to be, hey, is your system really cool or is it not cool? Does my family love it or do they not love it? That's it.
I couldn't agree more. And I think people know this about SVS, that that's not how we think, because if you look at the comments, I wish it was 50-50. It's not 50-50, but we have lots and lots of female commenters, and I think that's so awesome.
You do. And now I will walk that back a little bit and just say, of course my fiance listens to the system, and of course now it's our system. Of course it is. Before I get in trouble and have to end up sleeping on the couch.
I do think this spins into an interesting conversation. And before we do our next giveaway, we sort of talked about how as individuals we can get people to embrace high performance audio. But I'm curious, being involved as much as you are in our industry, what can the broader industry do to embrace and get more people interested in this hobby and this passion? Because there is so much joy, as you mentioned, involved. What can we do as sort of a macro level industry into really getting people excited about great sound and audio experiences?
Well, I think, the big thing that I tell a lot of folks that I work with who ask me about, how can I change things up? How can I make things fresh? And I always say, well, stop looking at the audience that you already have. Start looking at the audience that you want. Because if you keep marketing to the audience you have, you're going to keep marketing to the audience you have. And you're going to keep getting more of the same people. And that's okay, right? That's great, because we have a hi-fi and audio wonderful community as it is, right? Minus a couple trolls, but we can let those slide. But if we want to grow that, then the conversation probably needs to shift, or definitely needs to shift, to encompass the language, the relatability, the economics, the understanding, and the compassion for folks that we want to bring in. We have a responsibility to change and shift and grow as much as they have the responsibility to come inquire about what it is that we're offering, right? So we got to meet them in the middle. And I think that's a really, really important thing that a lot of folks can focus on. And I think SVS is doing a fantastic, I'm not being paid to say this, I mean it. Like, I feel like you guys are doing a fantastic job of that, because you have home theater stuff, you've got sort of audiophile stuff, you've got then music lover stuff, and then you've got your page of right, Nick, you and I talked about this, of the artists that use SVS. And so you really do encompass the whole gamut. And that to me makes me all warm and fuzzy, because it's nice to know that there are companies out there with real people who are working for a common mission.
You know, Emiko, I love what you said, and thank you so much for recognizing what we do. You know, I feel like so much of the audio industry is based on a premise that most people don't care about great sound. And so we're going to focus on this very narrow band of humanity that does care about great sound. And I, you know, we know who those candidates are, right?
Oh, yes, we do, of course.
But I think the reality is that the vast majority of people love great sound. They seek experiences where they will have an immersive, really fun time. But we're not doing a great job as an industry helping them to realize they can have amazing, great sound in their living space.
Right.
And so that's one of our missions that we always try to do, is tell that story, because, you know, I've been to a bunch of shows now that COVID is slowly reopening, and I'm there with, you know, in some cases 19,000 people that are just so thrilled to have an immersive experience, and maybe no one's talking to them about having that a similar immersive experience in their living space.
Right.
And one thing I always like to add on to that too, it's one of the few technologies that exists today that's not disposable. I mean, you get yourself a great pair of speakers, it's going to last you 15, 20 years. And there's just so few things that you can purchase, technology or otherwise, that actually has that kind of longevity. When you think about the fact that you're listening to it every single day, music, movies, whatever, it just really sort of cements that value proposition as something that it's totally worthwhile. Even if you have to spend a little bit more than maybe you thought you were comfortable with, think about that long-term benefit you're going to get. And I think if our industry can communicate everything that you just said, along with sort of that long-term value statement, then we're going to be in a great place here in a few years. But we do owe a giveaway. And then I had one more thing I wanted to ask you about, but our next giveaway is a pair of Prime Elevation speakers, our most popular speakers that we sell. And the winner of those is Jade Darrell. Congratulations, Jade Darrell. You got some sweet Prime Elevation speakers coming your way.
Congratulations.
I know that
is it Jade or Jay?
Jade. J-A-D-E.
Nice.
So, Emiko, you have something going on, a little side project called HiFi Superstars. And as your last question of the evening, I did want you to tell us a little bit about what's happening with that, what it is, and basically what people should know about HiFi Superstars.
Okay, so where do I start? HiFi Superstars was born out of the cauldron that there are a select number of people in the industry who work in the industry, to be clear. So these are contemporaries of ours, not just, you know, lovely random audiophiles, but professionals in here who are taking large strides to open up the doors of the industry and the community, and who are taking the position that the love of music and the love of hi-fi is for everyone, and therefore audio, you know, the opportunity to be an audiophile is for everyone. And so what I realized was, in having all of these conversations separately and somewhat insularly from each other, there are more of us that are like-minded than not. And I thought, you know, what would be cool is if I partnered with, and I started with people that I work with personally already, to create this sort of like hi-fi collaborative thing. So our first one was Eggleston Works, which for those of you that were at, am I allowed to say that?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay, sorry.
No shame.
The speakers, for those that were asking, these are custom Eggleston Works OSO loudspeakers, just so you know. So now your questions have been answered. And the first HiFi Superstars was Eggleston Works. So it was THG, which is ThatHiFIGirl X Eggleston Works, and then HiFi. The next one is going to be with Ecoustics. Then we have one with the show. Qobuz is signed on. There are a couple of others. And of course, I would like to, I think, Nick, you and I mentioned this, but I would like to formally invite SVS to become a HiFi Superstar, if you
Thank you.
like to be.
Awesome.
And so what happens is that it's the Justice League of hi-fi. And I say that with a dead straight face because I'm dead serious about that. And people can laugh at it and that's fine. But when you see the type of initiatives that are happening in real life, things that involve hi-fi through music rehabilitation for patients undergoing surgery or depression or drug rehabilitation and all sorts of other things. And when you think about neurophysiological change that music can bring on, HiFi Superstars is so much more than having your logo on a cool designed t-shirt and having some cool merch that you can buy. It's really about shifting the conversation in the day-to-day work that we do and forming the alliance that makes us recognizable as we are the people that hold these values sacred, and we are the people that will bring this industry forward for everybody, for anybody that wants to be part of it. But the merch is really cool. I will say that.
Cool.
Don't you have a glass you can hold up there? Maybe that's one of the first things we can tease there.
So this is actually, so this logo was done by my designer, Dan Spangler of Merch Creative. And this is not a HiFi Superstars glass, but this is ThatHiFIGirl logo. And
looks like it has scotch in there, Emiko. Were you sandbagging us?
It's Riesling, okay? It's Riesling.
I didn't want to say nothing, Gary, but no, while I was waiting in the waiting room. But we've got this like exclusive bar set and all the stuff that Analog Restorations has put together for us. And so everybody who's a HiFi Superstar gets their own custom designed stuff, and that gets disseminated out into the world. And so one of the ways that our HiFi community can show they're like-minded is by purchasing, wearing, drinking out of, carrying the bag, the phone case, whatever it might be, of those companies that resonate with them. And so when you see one person wearing that HiFi Superstars logo and the next person, you go, okay, cool. We're like-minded. We share this, not just the love of hi-fi, but we share the ideals of it.
I love that.
So
I think that's the kind of project that really sort of speaks to what we can do as an industry to engage more people. So thank you for putting it on. We couldn't be more excited to be a part of it.
Very cool.
Thank you for being a guest. You can find her at emikomusic.com, at ThatHiFIGirl on Instagram, or I'm assuming roaming the halls of the home entertainment show, whether that's in California or Denver or ultimately New Orleans. I'm assuming you'll be there and supporting the cause.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Emiko. I think we're going to reciprocate. Larry and I might end up doing a live stream with you as well at some point on Instagram. So we'll post details about that here in the coming weeks. But again, thank you for being a guest and sharing all your insights.
Thank you for having me.
Let me also, I'm just watching the comments and so many positive comments about what a great guest you were. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's easy with such wonderful people. So that's what hi-fi is all about. Spreading the love, spreading the
people together.
Totally agree.
Yeah,
love it.
Absolutely.
Thanks again, Emiko. We'll talk to you down the road.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Emiko.
All right. Well, we have about 8 minutes here for lightning round. And of course, Ed, you better, there he is. Ed is waiting.
Hey. Up.
How you doing?
Ed's been having his own happy hour over there. So
you marinated? You marinated up there?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, Emiko admitted to drinking in the studio, so I'm going to do the same. Just sitting here, keeping busy.
All right. Well, we're gonna move rapid fire here, and Ed, I'm gonna put you right on the spot here. He has Team 5 Johnson has 2 subwoofers. Should they be diagonal from each other or across from each other?
Across, as in like sidewalls.
I think what he means is
sidewalls.
I think he's saying, should they be facing each other across the room, or and we know this answer, but or should they be in corners along the same wall? Where should they go, Ed?
Well,
it depends.
I'm not going to say that. We banned that word. Opposite diagonal corners is a proven good subwoofer location, and actually the middle of the sidewalls is also a good proven location. The middle of the sidewalls is often harder to implement simply because it gets in the way of traffic patterns in the room, and opposite diagonal corners is just a little bit easier to implement. So that would be my recommendation: opposite diagonal corners, and then we can use the phase control to integrate the subs and get them playing together nicely.
And would your team be willing to help them do that, Ed?
Of course, reach out to our team, and we will help you.
All right, here's one for you, Larry. Is there an advantage to adjusting the volume of your subwoofer on the subwoofer versus the AV receiver? And we've answered this one before, but it comes up a lot.
So adjustment on the sub versus the receiver. So I tend to adjust the subwoofer volume after I've made adjustments internally in the receiver. So there's really what you do, you get it dialed in and then adjust the level output to the subwoofer like you would your normal channels. And then I play with the volume on the subwoofer physically. And it's really simple with our app. And if you happen to have one that doesn't have an app, it may be easier for you to do it in the receiver. So it's kind of a twofold answer there. But with our subwoofer, sitting in your chair and adjusting the actual subwoofer from our app makes life a whole lot.
But just, I think the question, and that's great, Larry, and I totally agree. But the question is also, I think, is there a difference in sound quality if you, and I think for the vast majority of scenarios, there's no difference. Would you agree with that, Ed?
Yes, I would.
You want to have the volume turned up enough on the subwoofer so that the input sensitivity is not impeding the dynamics.
Yep.
So you want to have it turned up somewhat. But then after that, it really doesn't matter in terms of the sound quality.
That was a great answer. That's the qualifier. You know, make sure the gain's high enough on the subwoofer so you're not impeding dynamics. After that, it doesn't matter. It's a 1-for-1 gain.
Do it on the receiver, or you can do it on the subwoofer, whichever way you want to.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, Ed, here's one from you for you from Robert. He asks, is there a good suggestion for wall mounts that work with the SVS Prime satellite speakers? He doesn't want cheap plastic, something quality.
Sure. There's some metal wall mounts I use that you can purchase, from Amazon or eBay or something like that. And there's ones that mount on the wall or ones that mount on the ceiling. The kit that I have has an L-shaped bracket that allows you to mount it on the ceiling also, which is nice. So that would be my recommendation. And if they want links, they can always contact us in customer service and we can.
Well, it's okay to say the brand. Which one is it? Is it the Omni mount? Is that?
I think it's Omni mount. Actually, I think what got absorbed and isn't manufacturing speaker mounts anymore. The Video Secu one is the one I use, and I like it for the Prime Elevation. It's got
for the satellite or the elevation, it would work. Look for one that can hold 10 pounds.
Right. Yeah.
10 pounds. Make sure you get one that's rated to the weight of the speaker. That's
right. Prime Elevation has its own bracket, so that's not an issue. But Prime
Gary,
satellite.
I know you've answered before, but the wall. Somebody asked about your artwork. It's can you get that locally?
I wish this app had a blur background feature, but no, I need to just put something else back there. I need to look smart, like most people on Zoom calls. They put their bookshelves behind them so that they look like they're very well read. Instead, I have this is a tap. My wife is Peruvian, as a lot of you guys probably may remember, and that's a tapestry from Peru.
So there you go. So not something you're going to be able to buy here at Home Goods, I would assume.
Oh, you can buy them. They're not hard to find.
You
actually can buy them at Home Goods, I believe.
Made in the Andes Mountains. All right. So Ed, somebody's asking if you use a Y splitter coming out of your AV receiver and you run 2 RCAs to your subwoofer, is that going to boost the output or do anything positive?
It doubles the input voltage going to the subwoofer. The subwoofer will play 6 dB louder compared to a single-ended RCA connection. Obviously, it doesn't improve, the power or performance of the subwoofer. It just makes it play louder. You can achieve the same thing by turning up the sub 6 dB.
Well, there you go. All right. I think we have time for one more. Let's see. I'll try to find a good one here. Luis asks.
That is a good point of the comment. Why is there a tapestry behind my head? It has some sound absorption qualities, and I have in front of me 3 different pairs of speakers, and none of you guys can see them because they're all prototypes. This does. So now that should hopefully pique their interest. So I find the tapestry sharply reduces reflections and helps me to evaluate the speakers.
Gotta have room treatments.
There you go. So I do have to get these questions from Aaron because he was nice enough to be in the waiting room or, commenting before we even started. And he asked, and this is not an SVS subwoofer, what would cause a subwoofer to make rapid fire rolling thunder sounds? And to me, that sounds like it's being pushed too hard and it's sort of stuttering a little bit. And this is not an SVS subwoofer, but would you agree, Ed, when you get that sort of and it sort of sounds like it's petering out, that's because you're driving it too hard and it just can't handle what you're throwing at it?
Yeah, I mean, it could be overloading and making weird noises if you're driving it too hard. It could also be a sign of a failing amplifier. Sometimes amplifiers will make repetitive type sounds when they're
Just
failing.
want to stress, this is not an SVS subwoofer.
No.
Okay.
I thought I tried to make that as clear as possible, but that is what's probably going on there, Aaron. And then he also asked, we've covered this a number of times, but I'm going to do my 10-second version here. What is the benefit of having two subwoofers? The biggest benefit is more even bass response throughout the listening area. So if you find nulls, areas where maybe the bass isn't as strong or maybe it's a little boomy, it's going to smooth that out significantly when you have dual subwoofers. Also, it's going to reduce localization. You're never going to be able to close your eyes and be like, that's where the bass is coming from. It's going to make it sound like it's coming from all your speakers and all around the room. Those are the two biggest benefits of dual subwoofers. Yes, you do get some benefits in terms of output, but really it's more about that smooth bass response no matter where you are within the room. So, Aaron, you had to wait till the very end of the show, but we got to your question. So thank you for tuning in early and we appreciate it. So our next broadcast, I believe, is going to be March 3rd is what we have on the calendar here. So stay tuned for that. Final giveaway of the evening. First, we have 3 6-month Qobuz subscriptions to give away. Winners of those are Scott Morrison, Bobby Adams, and Don Ford. Congratulations. You all have 6 months of free Qobuz.
Nice.
Last SVS giveaway.
Qobuz is the high, just to remind everyone who doesn't know, Qobuz is the high resolution streaming service. It's our favorite. Sound quality of the content that you stream is really awesome.
Absolutely. And final giveaway of the evening is a 3,000.
There's been a zillion questions about my shirt. It's from the movie Aliens. So you've got the face hugger, human, xenomorph, alien. So
we should raffle it off. It's really interesting. And where did you buy it? You want to throw a plug out there?
I get all my shirts from $6 shirts.
There you go. Okay, there's your plug.
And it shows.
This is their royalty. Final giveaway of the evening, since I know people have been waiting, is a 3,000 micro subwoofer. Congratulations, Aaron Haslam. Aaron Haslam, you got a micro subwoofer coming your way.
Yay, Aaron.
Congratulations. We will be back March 3rd, 6 p.m. It's a Thursday. Another cool guest who will announce here in the coming days. But thank you to my colleague. Thanks a lot to Emiko, a.k.a. follow her on Instagram, ThatHiFIGirl. Hopefully she'll be coming back here at some point as well. But again, happy listening, everyone, and we'll see you down the road.
And thanks to all the commenters. You guys, your comments were super energetic and positive. It was really, you were just as much a part of the broadcast as we were. Thanks, everybody.
Absolutely.